author and nutritionist Robert Ferguson. Please welcome Robert Ferguson.
All right, y'all, let's hear it for America's Fat Loss Coach, Robert Ferguson!
What's up, everybody? This is Robert Ferguson. I am here live, if you're catching me live, and if you're catching a replay, hey, I'm glad you caught the replay. But here's the deal. I am on a mission to help people be as informed as possible. And when I say informed as possible, meaning putting you in a position where you can make informed decisions that put you in the winner's circle when it comes to your overall health. And for many people, it's losing weight. But whatever the case is, I want you to win. I want you to win. And I love food. And so as a guy who loves food, I want to put you in a position where you can eat a lot of the foods that you want to eat and get the results that you want to get. So that being said, let's get into this. Now, if you are new to the channel and you're meeting me for the first time, I am a nutritionist. I'm a guy who shares because I care. And I want to encourage you to go over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, so that whenever I share information, you can then listen to it at your convenience. And today, I am going to share with you information about pasta. Okay? Pasta. Now, let's ask ourselves the question. Why does pasta get a bad rap? Same as rice, right? Well, it's because of this thing called the glycemic index. And the glycemic index is framed around being able to get a pretty good idea on if you eat certain foods, will it cause your blood sugar levels to rise? And with so many people focused on blood sugar levels and understanding blood sugar levels and knowing they don't want it to be up really, really high based on their glucose response, that would get your attention. And there is a way to actually eat pasta where you can cut the glucose response by 50%. That is significant. Significant. Now, before I share with you this study, and I've talked about this before, and I've had some of my clients in the last couple of years actually wear a continuous glucose monitor and put this to the test, and they were blown away. And it changed the way they cook and eat pasta for the rest of their lives. Now, if you're catching me live, what do you think it is? I mean, some of us will go to Google or start looking around, but how can you eat pasta and actually lower the negative impact of pasta? And we're talking about the impact of sugar in your blood, because a lot of people just won't eat it. Well, in this study, they were very clear. And the study, let's get there. Okay. I almost forgot. If you're interested in the Detox Drop, because this episode is brought to you by our Detox Drop, which is all about helping people drop body fat, drop blood pressure, drop cholesterol, drop all the negatives, uric acid, drop inches off your waistline, then check it out. You can go to our store. We have provided links if you're catching this on whatever platform, and you can learn more about that, as well as if you want to learn how to eat, okay, a realistic way of using food to help you improve overall health as well as lose weight. I would recommend you either get with one of our certified coaches or begin with our 8-week fat loss challenge. That's a great way to start. And you learn stuff like I'm about to share with you right now. It's all about knowledge, man. It's like being informed. Now, if you've searched the internet or you've been on the internet, you've probably seen this, maybe heard of it. But if you start looking, you'll see titles like this on, pretty popular websites where it's like how reheating pasta and other carbs can make them healthier. And when they say make them healthier, they're talking about the glucose response to the foods you eat, right? The glucose response is not just about that, because we're always looking at the insulin response. But if we're looking at the glucose response and you can taper that, then that's a positive. Now, in the study that I'm going to refer to, is right here. You can look it up. This took place about 5 years ago. And it's really interesting because it puts you in the winner's circle for being able to eat regular, everyday foods, a lot of foods that people avoid, but yet improve your blood glucose, which means improving your diabetic situation, which means improving a whole bunch of health benefits without having to give up the foods that you love. So how did the study come about? What was it? And how do I eat foods in a way that are going to get me these results? Okay. So when they put pasta to the test, what they did is they took 10 participants and they had them eat a bowl of pasta every day for 3 days. Now, the meal was served a different way each and every time. On day 1, they had hot and freshly cooked pasta. You know how most of us, how we cook our pasta? You cook it. Once it's done, you may rinse it. It's still really hot. You add whatever you're going to add to it, or you put it on the plate and then add to it, and then we eat the pasta hot. That's what they did on day 1. On day 2, they allowed it to chill. So they let the pasta cool down, and then they ate it. And then on day 3, they allowed the pasta to fully cool, and then they reheated the pasta so it was served fresh and hot, and then they ate it. Now, the blood sugar levels of these participants was measured every 15 minutes for 2 hours after they ate the pasta. Okay, same as how they discovered or work with the glycemic index is either 15 or 30 minutes. They're checking every time and just watching to see like where the glucose levels spiked, right? Sugar in your blood, and where they started to like taper and come down. Now, some people would have predicted, but here's the outcome. The hot bowl of pasta, like when you like cook it and then eat it, cause the greatest blood sugar levels as far as the rise. The chilled pasta, when they let it cool off, it was a little lower. Okay, now I like my pasta hot. So the third one and the first one would be my preference because in the third one, they let it cool down, but then they reheated it. Well, when they reheated it, they saw a reduction in blood sugar by 50%. By 50%. This is a prime. Everybody should know this. Because all you got to do is make a little shift in how you cook your pasta. And restaurants do it all the time. They cook the pasta early in the day in the morning. It cools down. And then as they start to get closer to like the restaurant opening, then they will reheat the pasta. Well, when you reheat the pasta after it has fully cooled down, right? When cooled, everything starts to shift, right? So the structure of the food, it reorganizes itself. And inside of that food, you pick up these things called resistant starch. Now, resistant starch is not easily broken down by our gut, the same as dietary fiber. So you get the dietary fiber benefits of this resistant starch that comes about after you allow the pasta to cool down and then you reheat it. Okay, so let me share with you how I do it and then we're done. When I make pasta, which is at least once a week, and my kids love pasta, if I know we're going to eat pasta, for instance, I'll cook the pasta in the morning. Then I'll let it cool down. I rinse it, let it cool down. And then I put it into a big old bowl in the refrigerator. Then when it's time to eat and we're going to have pasta, I don't reheat it in the microwave personally. What I do is I put it back in the big pot. I add a little bit of water and I add my pasta with my sauce. And then I warm it up and cook everything together. I add my tuna or whatever protein I want to add to it if I want to add a protein. And my kids and there is no difference. That pasta is like it just was cooked and put right on the plate, but it was reheated. And when you look at the glucose numbers, if you're checking your glucose, you go, oh my goodness, 50% difference. And all I had to do was allow the pasta to cool. And then before eating it, reheat it. Man, this gives like leftovers a whole new look. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone would benefit from knowing this. Okay, someone in one of our private Facebook groups, I would call your name out, but they said, so does it have to reheat to have the benefit? I'm thinking of cold pasta salad. Okay, so as I was sharing, they did 3 different tests. The first group, they cooked it, ate it, they had the highest glucose response. The second group, they cooked it, allowed it to cool, and then ate it, and that was not as good as reheating it. So yes, there's a benefit to cooking it and let it cool, but there's also a benefit to letting it cool and then reheating it. So the bigger benefit is in the reheating. And in that process, you have more of the resistant starch. And that was the impact of all the people who participated in the study. So that was Dan G that made that comment. So I would assume, and there have been studies on this, where people have done the same thing with rice. Cook it, let it cool down, and reheat it. Now, I think you could reheat it in the microwave. And some of you guys have glucose monitors. You could do this on your own. You could do your own like tests. And you'll, whoa, why is it that most people don't know this? Now, from what I understand, in Italy, this is their process. They don't cook pasta and then right out of it being cooked, put it on a plate and walk it into the restaurant and give it to people. Now, someone please correct me. I don't know because I don't live in Italy. I'm not a family in Italy. I don't know how they make pasta, like as far as how they cook it. But I'm assuming that there may be like you cook it, there's a cooling period, and then there's like you continue cooking it to heat it up, and then you serve it. I'm guessing. Isn't this good information? So Dan says, excellent, thank you. This is fast. And it's true. This is true, you guys. Look, I mean, look at this study right here. You can look it up. Making simple changes to the way a starchy carbohydrate meal is prepared can significantly reduce the postprandial glucose response. That means after you eat it, what is the glucose response? And it was very clear in this study. Now, you don't hear about this because most people on YouTube and on a lot of these podcasts, they're like anti-carb. If they weren't anti-carb, they'd be talking about this all the time. So they don't eat pasta, so they don't have any desire to convey the benefits of how you cook pasta to get a better glucose response. So they don't talk about it. Now, with our diet-free life methodology, we eat all foods. And all the things those people are talking about as far as helping people reverse diabetes and get off Medicaid, we're doing the same thing. The big difference is that they are in a diet mentality. They have demonized or villainized certain food groups, and we don't. All foods are on the table, and we're still able to get fascinating, impressive outcomes. So who can argue what I'm saying? I mean, you can't argue what I'm saying, right? Because one, you have the anecdotal, which is what I witnessed with my clients, what I witnessed with myself since 1995. And then you have science studies, third parties that have demonstrated why it is that we're getting these outcomes. I mean, this is great. Now, someone makes a comment, would this apply to potatoes also? I have not seen a study on potatoes. However, I would assume so. So letting it cool and then reheat, we will see an increase of resistant starch, which is the benefits of that. Someone else says, so glad to know. Hot pasta always spikes my sugar, and I'm only pre-diabetic. Okay. So if you're pre-diabetic, if you have a glucose monitor, you could test it. I had one of my clients actually test it a few weeks ago, and he was like, oh my God, Robert, it was amazing. So in order to test it, he had to basically have the exact same day, whether he woke up, what he did, everything was the same. And then he checked his glucose before he ate lunch, which was pasta. And on day one, he actually ate it, served it. His glucose was way higher than on day two when he allowed it to cool. So he cooked the pasta a little earlier, allowed it to cool. An hour went by, he reheated it up and ate it. And he says, Robert, it was right there. 50% difference. So now when he eats pasta, he actually goes through, cook it, let it cool, reheat it, and eat it. And he knows that's better on his glucose. And if it's better on his glucose, it's better on everything else. And when he goes to a restaurant, he now asks the restaurant. You can call in advance, or you can say, hey, by the way, do you guys cook your pasta like earlier in the day? And then you reheat it, and then we eat it. Like, when I order it, it was cooked earlier. And this isn't a negative. I'm just curious because I know it's fresh. And whenever he's been able to have these conversations, they said, yeah, we cook it earlier, and then we cook it up again right before we start to serve it. So that's a win-win. I mean, I love it. Let me see. Eugenia says, this is awesome. Have leftover spaghetti and meat sauce in fridge that we are eating for dinner tonight. That's what I'm talking about. And it's like when you know this, you know what I mean? Like when you know something, this is an example of being informed. This is one. Like when you're doing our challenge or you become a client of any of our coaches, we want you to be informed. It's like one of the coolest things in the Detox Drop is when people are eating breakfast. And I teach this in the method as they're learning it. Sometimes people don't get it. They just get caught up in the results. But the way you eat breakfast with our Detox Drop causes the same effect in your body as the popular weight loss drugs. We know how to use food to get the same benefits that people who are taking these drugs, or why they're taking the drugs, unfortunately, they have side effects that aren't promising. So remove the side effects and learn how to use food as medicine to get the benefits of why they're making these drugs possible. Learning what you just learned about pasta, and if your kids grow up and you teach them to cook pasta this way, and then you can tell them why, man, that's a game changer. It's like food is medicine, and the prescription is how you see it out. See how you follow through with it. How do you eat the food? And that's what we do. And no one else is doing that. I have not seen anyone else doing that. I just see people creating diets and telling people what they can have instead of showing people how they can have. It's a big difference. Okay, someone says, is it the same amount, 1/4 cup to eat? So pasta cooked, as far as the diet-free life methodology, is 1 cup, is a fast carb portion. 1 cup. So if you understand the methodology, you're ahead of the game. You are ahead of the game. Okay. And one other tip I would give you guys, if you could eat pasta and add some vegetables, slow carb vegetables, whether it's broccoli, whether it's bell peppers, whether it's zucchini, even if it's not mixed inside or it's off to the side, even fresh like tomatoes. If you add some cherry tomatoes, cut them up and kind of throw it in there. The antioxidants that come with those vegetables will help you optimize. And when you have vegetables, you tend to get some vitamin C, and that vitamin C will help also with the blood sugar levels and also making it possible for you to optimize the oxidation of burning some body fat. So antioxidants are real, and they are so helpful when they're part of your fat burning meals. So whenever you can add, even when people eat pizza and they say, yeah, I ordered pizza, but I got some vegetables on it, and people will laugh at them, and I go, that's really smart. Now, I love cheese pizza, but I usually will drink water before. And those of you who know why I say that, you know why I say that. And then I will always have a side salad when possible. Unless I'm in New York and I'm walking around and I don't have time to have a side salad. You just walk into a place, get a slice, and keep it moving. And that works great for me. Okay. Any other questions before I say goodbye on this Waistline Wednesday deliverable? Okay. Because the science is clear. And when you know how to make fat burning meals and you have a plan and you can be mindful, you can get amazing results eating regular, everyday food. This is why I was sharing with the group, the community, trying to come up with some additional taglines. I do like a realistic way to a healthier you, because to me, the word realistic has the word real in there. And instead of saying real food, because sometimes that can be confusing, a realistic way. And if someone says, okay, wouldn't a better way be? Well, I mean, it's better is good also, but a better is almost in comparison to others. I don't want to compare it to others. A realistic is really what we do. It's like, I want to take a realistic approach to losing weight and being healthier. I don't want to take an approach where I got to avoid certain food groups. No carbs. I don't want to take an approach where I can never have fried catfish again. I don't want to take an approach where I can never, have a glass of wine. I want something that's realistic, meaning sustainable, something that I could actually live with for the rest of my life. That's what I mean by realistic when I say a realistic way to a healthier you. That's what I mean by that. Anybody agree or disagree? And whatever your choice or preference would be, if you saw me post that, it's fine. It's correct. There is no one, in my opinion, best way, but the thinking behind a realistic, and one of my clients said a truthful way to a healthier you. Okay, I like that too. But then it's like, okay, truth, but realistic, it just feels like, okay, can I do this for the rest of my life? Is that realistic? And when you use that term as you talk about other ways of losing weight, they're not realistic. And I feel that the realistic word is a true differentiator between the Diet for Life methodology and what everybody else does. They're not realistic. We are realistic. Okay, you guys. Hey, if you're on the fence and you're thinking about getting a jump start, check out our Detox Drop. If you want to understand the methodology or just need to kind of get some structure going, the 8-week fat loss challenge is good. Or reach out to me directly and I can bring you on as one of my clients, or I can connect you with some of my other clients or coaches who can help you live a diet free life. Okay, I'm Robert Ferguson. Until the next one, go over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit that bell so that you get notified, or you're at least aware whenever we go live or upload a video. And then you can listen or watch at your convenience. And today, this was a good nugget. If you didn't know what I just shared, that was helpful. And when you know, you know. And when you don't know, you better ask somebody. All right, I got to go.